Welcome to the video. It's a weekly update, my favorite videos to make. It's a Tuesday, and I always make weekly update videos on Tuesdays. It's 4:30, so I gotta make them now before I go to the apartment I'm living in, the Airbnb I'm living in. And so let's jump into it. Let's start with who I am, because a lot of you guys are newer viewers. I've noticed that on the metrics. And so I want to get over who I am. What's the point of this video series? So if you don't know, my name is Tyler. I'm a man on a path to improving himself. That's how I like to think of it. But my life is not in the best shape possible right now. And different metrics of life. I include wealth, health, relationships, romantic relationships, and friendly relationships. If you break it into two, mental health, religion, and all that stuff. All that type of stuff. I'm not going to go too deep in metrics. Maybe I'll do a video on that. However, I don't consider my life successful. Of course, I'm really young, so I'm not meant to be in the top 1% right now or anything like that. However, I do want to get there, but to do that, I have to take certain actions. I have to change my behavior to get there. And it's a journey. It's a long journey. It'll probably take 10 years. And that's why I've dedicated these videos for 10 years, at least the weekly updates. And so these weekly updates are a moment for me to document my journey from a man from bottom barrel of society. I would say probably like bottom barrel society as a man. However, to the upper limits of at least the American society and everything, what you consider success wise, status wise. However, that takes time, and I want to document this journey for you to motivate you guys to, or just to create some entertainment for you. Maybe you'll show up every week to watch my journey of my life, and you get entertainment from it, and or you get motivation or inspiration, whatever it is. And also, it's to leave a legacy for myself. So, if one day I eventually die or whatever, there'll be something saying Tyler Vandren, and that's my last name. Tyler Vandren existed in this world. I created something in this world that provided value for you guys. I just didn't consume all this content, all this YouTube, all these books, whatever type of content. I created something. I want to leave that for myself. And I want to leave also a legacy if I ever die for my kids. So if I die when they're really young, they have these videos to look back on. But even if I grow old, maybe I can train an AI so when I die, they have an AI to ask for advice. Whatever it is. But, having kids is like the long-term plan 10 years from now. But I want them to know me as a 23-year-old because that's how old I am, 23. I was born in 2001. And so that's what this video series is about, at least the weekly update videos. But mainly my whole channel is about that. Is, so it's basically parts of my channel are weekly inspirations, stuff I find inspirational in my thoughts and everything. And other parts of it are the actions I take to improve my life, my daily life, what's happening in my life. And so that's the weekly update is what's been happening in my life. And if you don't know, one of the things I needed to do was to move out of my parents because living with my parents was limiting me in my development of myself and other parts. And so I had to move out. And so I chose the extreme position of moving out from another state to moving from Florida, which is Navarre, Florida, which is where my hometown is. That's where I lived, to Charlotte, North Carolina. So the biggest state in North Carolina. I think it's the biggest state. Don't quote me on that. But I moved about 9 hours away to a completely new state, new city with no friends, no connection, no job, no place to live, except for the 3 days I had booked at a hotel to get my bearings for a little bit. That's it. I moved, and the only thing is I had the stuff I had in my car and the couple of $1,000s I have in my bank account. That's all I had, and I moved here. And so I had to do that, and that took a lot of bravery. But in doing that, that invited a lot of chaos in my life. And so I moved here in the beginning of October or whatever. And I finally got a job. Last week I talked about this in the weekly update. I got a job at Walmart. I'm going to get a second job on the 2 days I have off, Tuesday and Thursday. And that'll be enough to pay my rent, food, and everything. So I'm positive. I'm cash positive. I'm bringing in more money than I let out. However, that's what I'm going to be. The main part of this video will probably be about the Walmart experience. But I also want to talk about some inspirations in my life, some stuff that's been going on in the life. What do I think about moving to this state? And so let's get into that first before I talk about the Walmart experience. And the reason I don't have much other to talk about is because the Walmart has taken up a ton of my time because I'm working 8 hours a day and I'm also having to adjust to working at Walmart a lot of the days. Okay. Most of my week is at Walmart. And also my Airbnb experience isn't the best. So, all that stuff combined is I don't really have a lot of time to improve myself. And a lot of my time is spent trying to improve the stability in my life because I've gotten the first job, which is Walmart. I have to find a second job for Tuesday and Thursday because I have to have a second job to really support myself. And so there's still some chaos in my life. And so let's get into it. What are some of the things I mainly want to talk about is how beautiful North Carolina, but more specifically where I'm living, which is Charlotte. It is beautiful. The city is beautiful. Like, how in Navarre, Florida, where I lived, in Florida, the small town I lived in, okay, Navarre, Florida, the problem is I hated the weather. And so let's get into that. So I will talk about what are the best benefits of living in Charlotte that I've discovered so far. What are the downsides? And then I will talk about the Walmart. These videos are unplanned, unscripted, so sorry if they're chaotic or whatever. That's part of the viewing experience. I try to make this as authentic as possible because they are video journals. So let's get into it. What about Charlotte? Well, I was driving yesterday to the local plaza or whatever shopping center that has a Barnes and Nobles where I do a lot of work. And what I found is I was driving down the city. I was like at a certain part of the town. I was like, it's so beautiful. And I kind of realized that this city is beautiful. In at least some certain parts of it. But what do I mean by that? Well, there are a couple different reasons for that. Let's talk about the weather. I hated Navarre, Florida weather. I After I've moved to another state, I cannot understate how much I hated Florida weather. I absolutely despised the weather. And why was that? Well, the Florida weather, it was hot all year long. To me, it was always hot, except for a couple of days during the year. Most days it was super hot, the humidity is super high, and you don't realize that living in Florida for pretty much your whole life. I had never lived outside of the state. I had been on vacation out of the state, but not anywhere else. And so long term I had never lived anywhere else. And even though I didn't like the weather, I didn't realize until I moved how much I hated the Florida weather. Absolutely despised it. The humidity, plus how hot it was. It was horrible. And so that's part of it. Because Charlotte right now, average weather in the mornings, it's like 50, rises up to 60. And then during the peak of the day, like 1 p.m., 12 p.m., afternoon, max, it's like 70. And that's a little hot to me, but that's way better. I still like that way better than Navarre. And even then, that's not bad. I prefer it on the days where it's like 40 in the morning and it goes to like 60 at 1 p.m. or whatever. And that's just the thing is, I've heard that Charlotte's supposed to get hotter in the summer, but I can deal with it if it's only like 3 or 4 months out of the year. But if it's like Florida where it's all the time, plus you don't deal with the humidity as badly. Humidity, it makes a huge difference. I didn't realize that. And so I'm glad I've moved here. But also it's not completely flat like Florida is. Charlotte has a lot of bumpy hills and everything. That's bad for driving. For driving, you don't get a flat road pretty much ever. However, it's just a part, and I kind of like it. I like the more mountainous areas. I really do. But the more important thing is just I love the scenery. It's more connected to nature than the place I was living in, Florida was. it's almost like it's a combination of like rural, but also, uh, urban. And I don't know if I'll ever see that again. But like the reason that prompted me how beautiful it was here was yesterday I was driving and I'm in a beautiful part of town and it's more nature based. So there are a ton of trees. And I remember thinking in my car at a red light, it's so beautiful. And I took some photos with my phone while I was at the red light, which I'm not supposed to, but I did. You're not supposed to use your phone. It was a red light, but it was just so beautiful. And that moment came to me. And it was like, you know how in Florida, the trees, I have to mention this. At least my recognition of my memories is in Florida, the trees were always green, even in the fall and spring and everything. However, here it's like half the trees are like the orange trees, with orange leaves, while the others are green. And it makes such a beautiful combination. I can't explain it, how beautiful parts of the city is. Like the combination between like rural and urban. And like I can see that because I'll go in parts of the city where it's completely almost rural like, and there are a lot of trees here. It's not like I'll have trees covering like on the sides of the roads for most of the roads. And like a ton of trees, not just like a little bit. Like it's way more connected to nature and you know, uh, at least big, it's more connected than the place I lived before, which was kind of like Pensacola, Florida, Navarre, Florida, in that area. And it is so amazing. Like my mental health has gotten better. And so I wanted to talk about that because that was like inspiration for me. Because like I said, I remember like driving down to get to the Barnes and Nobles, and there's a red light, and I stop and I'm looking out the windows or whatever, and there's this big arch with huge trees, that are orange, red leaves, all that type of stuff. And I remember, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And that moment stuck with me. But yeah, the weather is super nice. Like, I love this colder weather. I absolutely love it. I thought I would be like, I need to wear a jacket all the time and everything. No, going out in 40-degree weather, I just need a shirt and pants in 40-degree weather. In Florida, in that type of weather, I'd be like shivering. But here in Charlotte, and I don't know if it's the humidity or what it is, but it's a completely difference. I've realized that I'm more of a colder person. I hate hot weather. Absolutely cannot stand it, especially if it's long term, 12 years or 12 months out of the year like Florida is. And I haven't really had any symptoms with, sunlight because, Florida always gets a ton of sunlight and, Charlotte gets a lot of sunlight too, but it's not as much. But, some people can get depression from that if they're not with the sun or the sun's not on them for like most days of the year. But like that hasn't happened to me or whatever. But like I'm just saying this city and even driving in, North Carolina, at least on the interstates, it's beautiful. Beautiful state. Uh but there are all these different types of amenities that I can go to because it's a city too. So it kind of has that combination of urban and rural combined together. Like you can see dead deer corpses on the sides of roads sometimes if you're like by the interstate that runs through the city or everything where a deer's been run over. You'd never see that in Florida or whatever, all that type of stuff. And so you have all that. And so I kind of can't wait to see this place, see the city when it is snowing. Even though Charlotte doesn't get a lot of snow from what I know, it does get some snow. And maybe I'll visit the western parts of the state later on in a couple months when the situation has gotten better. Because if you don't know, the hurricane came through there and damaged a lot of the western part of North Carolina where all the mountains are, where it snows most heavily. And so, I want to visit that place, but I might wait till December, maybe January or February. However, that's a later thing. However, I did want to mention that. I did want to mention that. So that's just the change in my mental health has been great. Now let's talk about Walmart because that's the meat of this video. The Walmart job. How has that been going? I was hired as a personal shopper. I think that's what they call it. Really, it's just online order fulfillment. There's three different parts to it. There are the pickers who go out in the carts and pick out groceries and put them in the blue totes. You'll probably see them if you've ever been in a Walmart. The second thing is the stagers. So the people you pick bring those carts back to the back of the Walmart behind the store, not behind the store, but in the store, but in the area that's employees only. Drop them off. Second thing is there are stagers who basically organize the different totes. So these blue totes, you can look up Walmart totes online if you want a picture of them. They each have a sticker on them that determines the order. So it'll have the name of the order, and then it'll have like a 4-digit code letter. So it'll be like 1305, 1562, something, just a 4-digit number. And then it'll have a couple other informations. But what you have to do is you have to organize the different stuff. So, you might bring a tote from one order to one specific spot, and then a picker comes in with another cart, and they have another tote for that order that's the same number. And so you bring over, put it on top, the tote on top of the other tote. And that's what staging is you basically, because different pickers, the problem with picking is a picker might go out with, 6 different totes, which each represent different orders or whatever. Okay. And they might only pick a couple items for that order out of the 10, 30 items in that one order while they're picking. And then another person might pick up another 5 from the same order, whatever. So you might have 5 totes with each having like 5 or 10 items in them or whatever per order. So like I said, you have to organize the totes together on these little like cart things or whatever that you drag along with you. Because, you know, that's if you have 5 totes per an order or whatever on a cart, it would waste a lot more time to bring every tote over to the customer. Instead, you just bring the cart with you that has the 5 totes. And so that's what staging is. Then there's like prep, which all prep does is they really just take it over to the dispensing place. So what they do is whenever an order has arrived, so let's say someone pulled up to the Walmart position and they put in what number they're at or whatever, we get a notification. The prep person goes over to where the items are staged in the system. So the system will save on the little devices we have. It's staged in, if it's a delivery 9. So you go over to delivery 9, you find out where the item is, where those totes that consist of the order are, and you drag that cart all the way out to the outside, right by the door. So you go outside, and right by the door, you just put that cart right there that has all the totes on it. And that's how that's what they call prepping. I consider staging and prepping the same thing. You're not stuck in one position. So I've been doing a lot of staging, but I've also done prep. So, it's just where they need you. And so once they're here, a person who's either staging or is considered prep, go over, they bring the cart out to the outside, just leave it by the door on the outside. And then the person who was outside, who's waiting by the door, they dispense it. That's what we call the dispenser. Usually it's just 1 or 2 guys wait by the door outside, and whenever there's a delivery or whatever, someone comes in to pick up orders, the prep person brings out the grocery cart that has all the totes full of items or whatever, and then the dispensing guy goes out, brings the carts out to the car, and dispenses the item into, whether it's their truck, their their trunk, their front seat, back seat, whatever. And you think these orders can get pretty big. Like, I'm not going to lie, because there's a difference. We have people who come to pick up, and then there are people who are delivery drivers, okay, who are delivering orders for people, delivering groceries, delivering whatever it is, a desk or any type of things or whatever. And for the delivery stuff, it can be 3 orders at once. And so it can be like 15 totes of stuff, which is like 100, 200 items. And that's a small order for three orders. At least I consider that. So that's the thing is for dispensing. The great thing about dispensing is you just get to sit out all day until there are people who arrive, and then you go out and you dispense their items. It's pretty easy. I got trained on that after I got trained on staging. I got trained on staging first. And the thing with this job, as I've learned, is it's not very hard mentally, it's just hard physically. Because my Fitbit, which I have a Fitbit if you don't know, my Fitbit, my exercise on the days I work is like 19,000 steps. Minimum it's 15,000, but usually I get 19,000 steps, 20,000 steps. I've worked really as my e-shopper, that's what I call it, digital shopper, e-shopper, personal shopper, whatever. I worked it for 4 days. So I had my 2 days on orientation on Tuesday and Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I worked. And then today I have off, and I have the next 2 days off after this, and I go back to work on Friday. And so the last 4 days, I've walked about minimum 15,000 steps. Max, I think it was like 19 or 20,000 steps, which is crazy, crazy. And so the job is really easy mentally, because you have a thing that tells you where all the items are, and you scan it, and then you put it in the right place, or you put it in a place, and then that tells everyone who is prepping, who's taking out the items, where the item is. It's not like you really have to go looking for the items or anything like that. Now, I haven't done picking yet, where you pick the items from the shelves and you bring them back. I've just been doing staging and dispensing and prepping, but I consider staging prepping and staging. Um, and that's I've been doing that. And my shifts have been 6:30 to 3:30. That's basically my shifts for the next couple weeks. I think that's my long-term schedule, 6:30 to 3:30. I always get morning shifts because I never asked for night shifts or whatever, or later shifts. I never put my availability, but I wanted the job. So that's just the thing. I don't mind it. I kind of wish I had for once I want to shift. For once I want a job where I work later in the day instead of having to like do 6:30 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. I would prefer later shifts. I want to just try it out and see. However, that's what I'm stuck with, and so that's my job. That's the jobs I'm going to be doing, or that's the schedule or whatever. But that's basically what I've been doing. I've been training, but I've really gotten the hang of it. It's a pretty easy job. And I get 15-minute breaks, which the Walmart I worked with in 2019 never did any of that. We never got 15-minute breaks. And then I also get an hour long break, which my old Walmart did too, at least do that. But, my old job, which was Whataburger, which is a fast food chain in the South, in Texas, Florida, all in the South. It's a really good fast food if you just want fast food. However, let's get back to it. I liked the people at the Whataburger. I liked talking to people, and the managers treated you well, and they were nice and everything. And I liked working at Whataburger. I didn't like the actual job and the detriments to my health from working fast food full time. So I think it's like I've gotten to know my coworkers a little bit, not much or whatever. We've just been doing the job or whatever. It's a really simple job, and I really like. It's really easy. I get 15,000 steps in. So health-wise, I think it's a really great job if you're doing that. Like I said, it's a very good job if you're wanting to get some type of exercise. Because now this is the crazy thing I want to talk about. The problem with me walking 15 to 20,000 steps is my appetite has increased drastically, and I'm still in the Airbnb. So the thing is I don't like to cook in the Airbnb. And so that's the problem is I'm having to eat out more. I'm having to eat more food. Eating out is the only real way I can get more calories. And so I've been spending like 20, 30 bucks on food every single day. Maybe even 40 bucks some days just for food. Uh, and that is a lot of money, number one. Number two, it's still not enough. One meal, what I've realized is this. If you don't know, when at Whataburger, I eat 2 meals a day. Okay, 2 meals a day. And I was able to eat my calorie goals. Walking at Walmart and walking so much, I'm not able to reach. Essentially, I'm losing weight. And I've noticed that in the mirror. The good thing about my Airbnb is it comes with like a full body mirror that's like standing up against the wall. And so I can always check out my physique. And I do that every day while I'm changing. This is the crazy thing. I've lost, I would assume, 2 or 3 pounds of fat. I've probably lost probably like 3 or 4 pounds. I'm not gonna lie. Now this is the crazy thing. My muscles are still around, and I don't think I've lost a lot of muscles. What has happened is I've lost a lot of fat. That's the only thing I can think of it. I now have my abs back, which is a crazy thing. If you don't know, I've been bulking uh because I was 140, and when I left for Charlotte, I was 145, 146. My weight fluctuates like crazy. However, I had lost my abs because in the summer I had cut, and even in the beginning of fall, like in not August or September, I can't remember which one comes first. I had cut, and so I had my 3 pack or whatever. I had abs or whatever. With me bulking, I had lost those abs. Now I still wasn't like super fat or whatever. I just gained some fat around my stomach. And if you don't know, that's where most of the fat in my body goes to. Uh, if I eat a ton of food, I gain a lot of fat in my stomach and not a lot on my like my shoulders or my chest or any of that stuff. No, my body stores a lot of fat in my stomach, and that's just genetics. That's my way my dad is, my way my brother, my twin is really. However, so I only had a couple pounds of fat, maybe like 2 or 3 pounds. However, that's gone away after like 3 days of working at Walmart. I kid you not. And I'm happy for it because I like my abs. However, the bad thing is I'm bulking. So, it's a thing of where I have to eat a ton more food just to gain weight because I'm walking so much. Now, health wise, the benefits are good. I noticed that when I wasn't exercising as much as I wasn't walking as much, my back started to hurt more, but that's all gone away. So that's the thing with me. If you don't, I've never really talked about this or said anything about this, but I sometimes get lower back pain, like not much. I can still really easily be able to move or whatever. It's not like it's just soreness. And I think that's because I'm not exercising as much. I didn't exercise that much. At least cardio wise. Weight training, I was doing body weight training to gain muscle, but I wasn't, doing any type of cardio or whatever. And so I was either sitting or on my bed, doing work for most of the day. And so that kind of affect my lower back, from all that sitting and everything. And if I wasn't on my chair, I was in my bed or whatever. So I was doing a lot of standing or walking. And so that caused problems with my lower back. But after 3 days of working at Walmart, I have no problems with my back at all. And the thing is also with my feet, they recommend like you get shoes or whatever. People are like, you have to adjust to walking that much and everything. I didn't have to adjust last 3 to 4 days. My feet have been a little bit sore. Uh, my feet have been a little bit sore after work, especially if I reach up to like 19,000 steps. But they're only a little bit sore, and that's because my shoes probably aren't the best for it or whatever. However, they're Walmart shoes that I had gotten for like $20 a couple months ago when I thought I saw shoes for $20. I was like, why not get them or whatever at Walmart when I was trying to get other stuff. And so my shoes aren't the best. However, even then, they're only a little bit sore. They're only a little bit sore. And then the next day I wake up in the morning and I have no problem. And so health wise, the benefits of having to do the personal, being the online shopping part, at least the back of it. I don't know about picking, but at least staging and dispensing is really good. I'm not going to lie. It's very health benefits wise. Yeah. I recommend you bring sunscreen if you're dispensing though, because you're going to be outside a lot. But the health benefits are pretty good. I'm not going to lie about that. And, I have more energy and everything. And that's really good. My cardio is, getting up, that I'm doing those 10,000 steps a day, at least for most of the days of the week, at least 4 days of the week, because that's how many days of the week Walmart's willing to work me for. And so that's amazing. I'm starting to get my V taper back and everything, and I'm like, I don't want to, but I want to, but I don't want to. I'm trying to bulk up to like 160 and then cut again, or 170 or 180. But then it's like, well, it's so hard when I'm working out Walmart and everything. God, I'm getting another call. I was doing another video take and I got a call. It's from Joshua Umo. I don't know. The other guy called me. I'm not gonna pick up. I don't know who even he's from Georgia or whatever. I don't know. I'll check after the video. Probably no big deal. So like I said, the health benefits, and I'm having to deal with that. Do I eat more food? Takeout. Thankfully, I'll have a long-term place to rent in the next week, 2 weeks, and that will allow me to cook more, and I can do some like type of meal prep and everything, because right now I don't trust my roommates. Because the thing with the Airbnb, some guys are only staying for like a day or two, and then others are staying for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. So I'm having to constantly get new roommates. Like I'm getting new roommates over and over again. I don't mean roommates like I'm sharing a room, but the thing with my Airbnb is there's 4 rooms and then a kitchen or whatever. And so I have my own room and everything, but I consider them roommates, whatever. But they can steal my food at any time, whatever, use my pots at different times. The Airbnb manager had to send out a post because someone used another person's pots that they had kept in the kitchen and had them all dirty and didn't wash them or anything. And I was like, well, that's why I keep my dishes in my room or whatever in a cardboard box, because I don't trust my roommates. And look what just happened. And, they could eat my food or stuff like that. And so that's the thing. I have a band-aid. That's the thing. And so I haven't had time to really, it's not that I haven't had time really. It's just I can't meal prep or any of that stuff. I don't want to buy frozen food because the thing is that's really unhealthy. It's the same. It's just as bad as eating fast food stuff. So why don't I just save the time? The only bad negative is my hands. Um, if you see my hands, my fingers, whatever, uh, the uh, right there, because sometimes I hit my fingers on the toes. Just I'm clumsy with my hands. If you don't know, I have hand tremors, but like that's not the problem. It's just I'm clumsy with my hands. Um, or whatever. So it hurts my fingers, but I've been using lotion for them, so it helps. But yeah, I have thing. That's why I have the Band-Aid or whatever. My Band-Aid was too tight or whatever, too constricting. But yeah, that's that's the Walmart experience. It's really easy. At least the e-shopping, the health benefits are great. However, However, I gotta eat a ton more food to keep bulking. Otherwise, I'm gonna start. I already am starting to get my abs back, and I'm starting to have the like V taper for my waist at least, not the chest, but like the waist where it's like a dolphin. You can look that up for like what movie actors look like, and that's how my waist is starting to be. I'm losing all the fat in my waist, in my stomach, around my stomach. Good thing for my health, and I'm having more energy because I'm doing cardio. It's essentially cardio for 4 days of the week, because that's how many days Walmart's willing to make me work. So, but that's the experience for Walmart. Airbnb, I can't wait to leave that apartment because there's problems with the parking, because I have to work at 6:30, so I gotta leave. And I like to leave an hour early so I get to Walmart like 30 minutes early and I can sit in my car for 15 minutes and like get a little bit of sleep or look up the internet, whatever stuff I want to do. I get there early just in case there's an accident or something goes wrong. I have that buffer time. But the parking is like a lot of the roommates get in at 8 o'clock, and I move up front because I'm the first person to get there at like 5 or 6. So I get to the apartment before everyone else, and I park up front. And then the people who get there at like 9 or 10 or like 12 or whatever park behind me. And then in the morning I can't get out, so I have to knock on the door or whatever, and have to move their car and all that stuff. And it's crazy if they answer or not, because I can't drive on the grass on the side to get out, because then landlord will complain because the neighbors complain. So it's like that's I really don't like about that. I can't trust my roommates because the thing is that they could be crazy, they could be criminals or whatever. I can't get to know them. I'm going to see them for a couple days max, maybe a day, maybe a week or two if they're longer term, but that's it. Uh some of my roommates, I've had 10 roommates in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And like, there's nothing bad, but like, I'm only going to see them for a day or two. So I'm never going to get them. But like I said, they could be criminals. They could have a dark past. They could get violent with me, whatever it is. Because one guy confronted me. This is what the thing happened is. Okay. So in the parking lot, there's enough for 4 cars, two up front, two in the back. He was parked in the middle of the parkway. So if I pulled in, I was half on the road, half in the main. So I get out of my car and he's in there or whatever, but I don't know this guy. And I took a picture and I was like, I sent it to the landlord and I was like, can you let the guy move his car up because my car is stuck or whatever. And I let the landlord text the guy because I don't have the guy's phone number. And this is the crazy thing. I do that. He comes out there or whatever. He moves his car or whatever, and I'm walking by the door. He confronts me on it. Like, no joke. My roommate confronts me. The roommate guy confronts me on it. And this is the crazy part. He confronts me on it. And he's like, why didn't you just come in and like knock on my door and tell me to move my car up? Why did you text the landlord or whatever? You took a picture of the car and sent it to the landlord or whatever. And he was like, that's my car. Why can't you like communicate like a normal guy? And I was like, there are a couple of reasons for that. I was like, I don't know you. Like this is the main thing. I said, I didn't have his number. I was like, I don't have your number. You could have just parked your car in and left because that's what some of the roommates have done. I don't know what number you're in, what room number you're in, because there's 4 rooms. So you could be in 1, 2, 3, or whatever. You could be gone with your girlfriend or whoever had your friend who has a car or whatever. That's happened before my roommates. So I text the landlord because I don't have your phone number or whatever. And I asked him to text you to please move your car up. And he was like, why don't you be a normal human or whatever and talk to me about it face to face or whatever? That's how normal. I was like, that's not normal, dude. We're not in a normal situation. Like, I literally pointed him out. I was like, literally. And then I was like, I just text the like landlord. I took a picture and text the landlord so they could text you and show you the picture so you can move your car up or whatever. And I was like, why is it such a big deal? And like, I guess he got in trouble with the landlord for not following parking rules. But yeah, and I was like, I was like, why are you confronting me on it? It's no big deal. And he was like, I'm not confronting. I was like, why are you so angry? And he was like, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. This is how normal people talk. And I was like, you confront me on it. You're aggressive. Your body language just shows me this or whatever. He was like, I'm just being normal, whatever. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not. You're confronting me on it or whatever. And he was like, well, and every time I tried to talk to him, he's like, no, 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 no. Or he was like, well, in the beginning, you talked to me for 5 minutes, you know me or whatever. I was like, dude, I was coming out the door. You had just parked with 2 cars when you're only supposed to have 1 car in the driveway. And I was walking out to leave. And so I saw you were new. So I gave you some advice on the parking on not to park with your wheels turned because then they'll be on the grass. And even though your wheels are partly on the driveway, the neighbors will complain on the side you parked for it or whatever. And I was giving him advice, but I was walking out the door while he was walking in to go to his apartment room or whatever. I was like, I talked to you for maybe like 1 or 5 minutes or whatever. He was like, well, you couldn't have talked to me. And I was like, no, no, no. And like, we got in an argument and he was like, you're not listening or whatever. And I was like, I am listening or whatever. He's like, you keep interrupting me. And I was like, I'm not, but you keep like talking to me as like you're trying to confront me. You're angry about it for whatever reason. You're complaining that I took a picture of your car or whatever. And I was like, why am I not getting angry? I just had a job for 8 hours. I'm tired coming in. You confront me because I asked the landlord to text you to move your car up. You're angry about it. You're arguing with me while I'm trying to get my room because I took a picture of your car. And I was like, if you're worried about me snitching, and I even said this blankly up to him, I'm sorry if you thought I was snitching, but the problem is I'm not snitching. You know why? I even was like, I'll show you the camera. And I even told you this when you moved in on the 5-minute conversation by the door. There is a camera right by the door that's pointed straight at the driveway, and you're in the middle of the driveway. You're not moved up or back. They can clearly tell. They will get onto you because they check the camera periodically. So there's no point in me snitching with you. But another point that was crazy and why I said he was angry is his wife apparently took the car because there was the car in there or whatever. His wife took the car, left or whatever. I found out that he called his wife in the middle of us arguing, or his wife called us, and she was like, "Yeah, I think he's playing games or what," or she was like, "How did it go? Like, while you were talking to him?" And this guy is confronting me while he's on the phone with his wife or whatever, and it's on voice speakerphone, so I can hear it. And he was like, "Yeah, I think he's playing games or whatever." And his wife was like, "Yeah, I think he's playing games or whatever, and he wants me to play games and get him in trouble." I was like, "Dude, I don't need anything else to get you in trouble. I know you have two cars. One of them you park on the street, which is illegal, and that he doesn't like. The landlord will get onto you. I don't say anything about that. So guess what? I could have snitched on you before. So why would I need to snitch also when there is a camera right by the door?" Like, I literally said that. I'm like, "You're so disrespectful that your wife texts you, and while you're doing that, you're talking to me like in third person, like I'm not there, and that I'm playing games." Like, dude, I don't need to play games. One, I was like super exhausted because it was my first day of real work at Walmart, and I had walked 15,000 steps, and I was moving heavy totes full of groceries the entire day. But yeah, I was like super pissed, and I was like, "Dude, I don't need to play games with you. There is a camera right there." And he was like, "Don't take pictures of my car." I was like, "Your car, I can take pictures of your fucking car." But this is not the crazy part. Okay, this is how the argument ended. The argument ended with him, and I was by his door talking to him or whatever, because he was like, "What's up?" or whatever. And while I was about to enter my room, and so I came over there with my backpack, and that's where we had the argument. So he's leaning up against his door or whatever. And I was like, there was another reason why I asked the landlord to text him. I was like, because I don't know if you're getting defensive, or if you could get a defensive on me. You could say, "No, I'm not going to move my car," or anything. I don't know you at all, but this is what I said. I said, "What if you fight me or whatever?" And he was like, I was like, "What if you fight me because of this or something, or you didn't want to move your car and you fought me?" I said something like that. And he was like, "Whoa, whoa, what?" And then this is the crazy thing. He said, and I was like talking about him fighting me. And I was like, "I don't want to fight this guy." And I didn't say that, but I was like, "I don't want to fight this guy." And this guy, to give you some perspective, I don't want to fight him because it's not worth the hassle. It doesn't mean I wouldn't physically fight him, because let me give you an example. This guy, I'm not going to say his race or anything like that. I'll just say he is very overweight, really fat, and most of the fat goes around his stomach. Nothing wrong with that. Most of the fat in my body goes around the stomach. But he was severely unweight, so I know I could basically take him in a fight, like physically. I'm not like trying to demean him for being fat or whatever, or having a beer belly or whatever they call it or whatever. I'm just speaking the truth. That's gonna weigh him down. I could easily beat him in a fight. I have more muscles than him. He's probably intimidated by me, because it's just the simple math of the truth. He's probably intimidated by me because I have some muscles. I'm faster than him. So in a fight, I could beat him or whatever. And the reason I say that is because I was like, "What if you fight me?" And, I don't want to deal with the hassle. I didn't say that, but I was like, "What if you fight?" He didn't even say anything back. This is what he said. He was like this. He froze, and then he was like, "You know what's going to happen if you fight me?" And I was like, "If you try to fight me?" And I was like, "You'll fight back." I was like, "Yeah, you'll fight back. You'll fight back." Like a normal guy would fight back. If some guy comes up to me and starts punching me, I'm going to punch back. I'm going to fight back. This is what this man said. This is what this man said. I kept asking. He was like, "You know what I'm going to do?" And I was like, "You'll fight back. You'll fight back." And he was just silent. And I was just like, "You'll fight back." And I kept repeating that. He's like, "No, I'm going to call the police." Like, oh my God. And this is why I have a problem with this. This guy would not admit that he would fight me back. Okay. Instead, he would call the police, which I have nothing wrong with. If someone fights me back or whatever, or someone just punches me and then I fight them back or whatever, I'm going to call the police and said they committed battery for me. I don't have a problem that he would call the police. That's a normal thing to do if someone, a stranger starts a fight with you or whatever. Maybe not or whatever. Whatever. It depends on the severity of it. But I understand him calling the police. This is the problem. He would not say he would fight me back. And this comes up to the other part that I'm about to get to. He would not say he would fight me back. And if that's the problem with that, is this is why I have the problem. Is he will not fight me back, and that tells me he wouldn't even say it. He just said, "I'm gonna call the police. I'll call the police." And I was like, "What a coward, dude!" Because I'm serious. Like, what if I fought him? I physically started fighting him. Is he just gonna stand there and just take it? Because that was what I got off from it. Because he would not say it, and like, I don't have a problem, but like as a man, as a human being, you have to stand up for yourself. And like, I don't care if someone starts a fight with me. I don't care if I lose or win. Okay, that's not the point. It's the point is to fight back because people will see you as an easy target. I will have less respect for you, at least man wise. I'm not going to fight a woman or whatever. If I attack a guy and he just stands there and takes it because it shows I can get away with a lot more. And this man doesn't respect him. That's what I got from that scenario is the man does not respect himself to fight back if I fought him. He won't even admit it. Like he at least should admit it. So he was just like cowering behind the police. And this is what this is what the thing is I got. While he was saying that, he was like, "I'm gonna fight back," or he wasn't saying that. He was, "I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna call the police." He then scurries. He opens the door real quick, gets behind his door, and he's like, "I'm not having this conversation. You're talking about fighting or whatever, and you're irritable already or whatever." And I was like, you can talk behind the door." And I even took a couple steps back before while we were talking about fighting. He was like, "What are you doing fighting or whatever?" He was like, "You're awfully irritable or whatever. Why are you talking about fighting or whatever?" And I was like, I even took a couple steps away from him. And I was like, "You can go behind your door and talk to me and we can have the conversation. You can lock the door. I'm not going to be able to break a door down," unless he thought I was capable of it. But he scurries behind the door and won't talk back. He's like, "The conversation ends or whatever. You either get it or you don't get it." And I was like, "Can we have a normal conversation?" Like, I'm being serious. Like, I even was like, "I'll take a couple steps back," and I took a couple steps back. But this guy scurries. I mean, literally scurry. That's the only word I can think of it. Like a rat scurries back into his room and like tries to like shut down the conversation. And I was like, it's not worth me for me to confront this guy and knock on his door until he opens the door because I'm being completely serious. Like all the irritability died inside of me when I realized how much of a just like absolute like I can't even believe it. This is my problem with it. Okay, he has a wife. That's what he said, it was his wife or whatever. He has a wife. What if I'm being completely serious. What if some guy, you guys are at a restaurant dining or whatever, and some guy while you're walking out the restaurant goes over to your wife and grabs your wife's ass. Are you gonna fight? Are you gonna fight this guy? Are you gonna call the police and say he groped my wife or whatever? It's whatever the law is against it. Like, come on, dude. Like, that's your spouse. You should defend your spouse. Just like if like, and I think this goes both ways. Okay. If I had a girlfriend and some woman goes over and grabs my balls or whatever, gropes my groin, I'm going to be pissed, but also my girlfriend should be fucking pissed too and slap that motherfucker. Like that's just a thing. Like there's like no thing, but I'm being like completely serious. Like that came up to my question in my mind. That was the first thing up. You said that was your wife. What if I fucking groped your wife in front of me? Are you gonna fucking call the police if your wife complains, or are you gonna defend your wife's honor because she's your partner and you should do that? Like, are you just gonna call? Like, that's the thing. And that applies to all things in life. Like, yeah, you can call the police after, but if someone fucking punches you and starts a fight with you, you should fucking fight back, especially if it's a serious fight. I'm not gonna like for myself personally. If someone starts a fight for me and starts fucking kicking or punching me or whatever, I'm going to fight back because I have to defend myself. That's just a part of life. If you don't want to be a punching bag, you're a punching bag is someone who does not fight back when someone fights them. Either word wise or physically. But that's the thing is this guy would not. That's the thing that got to me was this guy. He confronted me on the fact that I took a picture of his car, sent it to the landlord, and asked him to move his car up because I didn't know where the hell he was because he didn't even have to be in the apartment. And also, I didn't know if he was going to be defensive about it or angry about it that he has to move his car, whatever it is. And then, and so man confronts me, but he doesn't even have the balls to fucking say he will fight me back. Like, and I'm not being like irritable or anything, but that's just a normal reaction of heart. And maybe, like I said, the guy thought he couldn't take me or whatever, so he didn't want to even mention it. But the guy, clearly, I smelled cowardice on him. Like, I guess he didn't think his way of confronting me was the way to go because he confronted me and he knows he can't push me too hard because ultimately I was discussing with the guy and I was irritable. I'm not going to lie. I was irritable because after work I was tired or whatever. This guy confronts me on the fact I asked the landlord to text him to move his car up nicely so I could get in. This guy is irritable for me, and he knows after talking to me for 30 minutes, I'm not going to budge. That the fact that I made him move his car. I text the landlord to move his car. And I even said, if I have any problems with the parking, I'm going to get the landlord if I can't find you or whatever. And so I was being, and if I don't know who you are or whatever, and I was being completely serious. And like, he shouldn't have a problem if all the rules in the house are being followed. Like, I'm being completely serious. It's not a hard rule to follow. Like, just if you have simply act of the fatter. If you're not parked the right way and ask the landlord to text you to move your car up, if you get in trouble for that, not my fault. There's a camera right there. They know you messed up. They're never going to rent to you, never going to Airbnb to you ever again. Sorry, there was a police that just went by in the parking lot. And so, like I said, I was fucking irritable and I was like, I don't need to play games. Your wife called you. You said I was playing games in front of me, and your wife confirmed it. Like you were just treating me like air. And so, yes, I was irritable, but I literally asked him. But he was like, I'm going to call the police. I'll tell the police you're irritable, whatever. You're starting to talk about fights. And the reason I talk about fights after he scurried into his room and I was still talking to the door. And like the last thing I said is the reason I talked about fights is I don't know you. You could fight back. You don't look like the type. Like I said, you'd be slow in a fight. You're fat or whatever. I doubt maybe you have more power, but most of the fat in your body is in your stomach. So that'll affect your mobility and your way your body moves because it's all around your stomach instead of like all the way around your shoulders and your muscles and everything. And so he knew he couldn't take me. And maybe it's because he has low testosterone, because you got to realize his testosterone is probably tanked because the more body fat percentage you have over like 15%, the worse your testosterone gets. So his testosterone is probably really low, like not gonna lie. And so that probably messes with that probably messes with him mentally. And also, so I guess that's why he thought he had the good idea to confront me on it. Like not a normal, like I said, like, why would he confront me on it for a normal thing or whatever? And like, he didn't have to be irritable. He could have just said, "Next time, can you come in the room or what? Can you knock on my door?" And I was like, "Yeah," but the guy was irritable. His body language or whatever. Why would you take a picture of my car or whatever? Why would like he tried to act like I was a dumbass or like I wasn't able to talk to people or stuff like that. And I was like, "No, I don't fucking know you. I don't want to get to know you because." You might only stay for a couple days. I evidently don't want to get to know you because how your personality is from what I can see just from this argument. But I was like very like what the fuck, dude? Like I'm serious. Like I wasn't gonna start a fight because I know it wasn't worth it for me to punch this fucking guy because like what else would I get from it? I might go to jail. My car. What would happen to my car? All that fucking stuff. Two, is it worth it? Like, no, mother, it's not worth it for this guy who's irritating me. And I think that guy realized it. But like I said, I was like, I'm not gonna fight this guy because there's no point. No point. And that, like, the argument makes me irritated looking back on it. But like I said, that guy wasted an hour of my time trying to make me look like I was dumb and trying to doubt myself because I didn't knock on his door, go through all the rooms, knock on all the rooms till I found him, say, can he move his car, wait 10 minutes for him to get his ass out of his bed, out of it, whatever he was fucking doing, get up, stop talking to his wife, move the car, and so I could park. Like, that's it. That's like it for the like thing. And he realized, I think he realized the situation was going south. Because like you got to realize this, and I talked about this in a previous video. As a guy, when you look at another guy instinctively because of evolution, the way your brain was trained, one of your first thoughts subconsciously is this guy a threat? If I fought him physically, would he beat me or would I beat him? And then you think, okay, is he friendly or an enemy? Can I defeat him or not? And even if I can, is he an enemy or friend? If I can't defeat him, is he an enemy or friend? Whatever it is, this is just subconsciously. But yeah, it was just like, what the like that was what got me is the argument. Okay, who cares or whatever. But this guy confronts me on this stuff, but he's not willing to say if I fight him, he would fight back. Just like I would say if he said if I fought you, what would you do? First thing in my mind is I would fight back. That's the number one thing is I'm gonna fight back. And like I said, it just reeked of cowardice. Like it just reeked of it. Like the way he scurried back into his room. And like I said, I was like 7 feet away from him because I had taken a couple steps back because I was leaning up against the railing that was up to the stairs because he's in the room right across from the stairs. And so I was leaning up against it while we were arguing and he was up against the door. I even took a couple steps back when I noticed he was getting nervous or whatever, just a simple thing or whatever. But then I started talking about fighting because he could fight me or whatever. And I didn't want to deal with it. I'd rather just use the landlord for you to move your car up and get off your lazy ass and move the car up. He didn't take that well or whatever. And then and I was like, he was nervous or whatever. But I took a couple steps back, but I was still leaning up against the wall. Like I wasn't in a position ready to fight with my hands up. I was still relaxed, leaning up against, like in the beginning, I was leaned up against the railing, but then afterwards, I was leaned up against the wall talking to him. Like that was the only thing. Like I was just talking to this guy. Like, and I was relaxed because I knew he wasn't going to start a fight. I could smell the cowardice on him. But number two is I didn't want to start a fight, so I was leaning up against the wall. But he was like, "You're getting so, irritated, and you might start a fight because you started talking about fights." Dude, I'm being serious. Like, if I started a fight with you, would you fight back? And I literally wanted to say that. However, he had scurried back in his room or whatever. I gotta end the video. It's been longer than I thought. It's gonna be an hour-long video. I thought I would only make it 30 minutes, but I wanted to mention that was the part with the Airbnb. That's the thing with me. I just want you guys. Majority of my audience are males. If you're a female, that's good or whatever. I want more females in my audience or whatever. But I'm being very serious. As a man, the first thing guys notice about you is, are you a threat? Can I take you in a fight? Goes back to our caveman days, whatever. This is proven for sure psychologically that that's the first impression. Can I take this guy in a fight? And the problem is as a man, you should develop that stuff. You should build muscle, build your health up so you can fight. You're not disabled where you can't fight. I don't mean disabled like someone who has their arm chopped off or mentally, whatever. I mean, you haven't worked out. You can't do any type of sprinting. You can't run. You can't sprint. You can barely move or whatever. You can't lift anything heavier than a 10 pound, whatever. Okay. Dumbbell, whatever it is. And like any guy can lift 50 pounds or whatever if they do training, even if you're really old. Like, even if you're really old, like you can do 20, 50 push-ups. You can train up to that even as an old man. So there's no reason you shouldn't be. Look at the guys who are 60, 70 and they look like they're 30 or 40 or 50, or they still have a ton of muscle, even if they look older, because they work out and you can start working out. So age is not a problem. But as a guy, you should be doing that. But number two is, even if you know you will lose a fight, if someone says they're going to fight you, you got to fight back. Or if someone starts a fight with you, you got to fight back. Okay, unless they have a knife or a gun, then you can run away. But I'm being completely honest. If it's just a fist fight and someone in the street is going to attack you with their fist, fight back. But if, like I said, if someone has a knife, you can run. Like, if your life is in danger, yeah. But if it's just someone's going to fight you over something, over a girl or this or stuff, and someone starts a fight, you got to fight back. Now, it doesn't mean you start a fight over the girl, but if you're defending your girlfriend, yeah, if some girl slaps your girlfriend, you got to fight back. It's just a part of being a guy. Same, like I said, the same, it just applies. You have to do it. Like you should be willing to defend yourself. That's all I got to say is, as a guy, you should be willing to defend yourself. No matter what your age is or if you're going to win or lose in the fight, but you have to be willing. You have to be willing to get in the arena. That's it for the video. That's the theme of this video. As a guy, for women, like that's all things in life. You got to fight for the things you believe in, and that's the same thing. If you don't have self-respect, if some guy fucking punches you in the face, you're not gonna fight back. Okay, that's like you're gonna have no self-respect because I'm being completely honest. Some guy, you're letting him get away with it. That's how I see it. If some guy punches you and you don't do anything about it, you're letting him get away with it. You're showing you don't have any respect for yourself because if you had respect for yourself, you would fight back. Okay? Now, like I said, there are nuances to it. However, if I was just walking down the streets and someone punched me, I would punch back. If someone starts a fight with me, I would fight back. And that's just me, but I think it's as a guy you have to be willing to that. Call the police afterwards. If the guy has a knife or a gun, run away because you're gonna die. But other than that, if you're in a bar or whatever and you're both drunk and one of them tries to start a bar fight with you, yeah, then fight back. Unless it's not worth it. But like I said, and some people are like, well, it's not worth it to get in a fight. You could be injured and all that stuff. But if some guy has already fought me and already punched me or, kicked me, whatever it is, I have to fight back. I have to retaliate. Otherwise, like I said, it shows no respect for yourself. And it's just a part of life. But that's my position on life. Maybe it's different for you. Whatever it is, I'd like to get your inputs. That's the thing. That guy, my roommate, whatever I call him, or I call him roommates or whatever. It's not that he didn't just not fight back, okay? It's one thing not to fight back, but another thing is you won't even say that you would fight back. Win, lose, you wouldn't fight me. Okay? That's the thing. Is he could fight me back. That and there were the other body languages, the way he scurried into the room, all that stuff showed he was I hate to say it, but were signs of being a coward. Cowardice. Like don't want to say it, whatever, but that's the truth. Like that's how I interpret it. Maybe I interpret it wrong, but I'm confident that's how the way I saw it, and that's what it's the way I saw it. It's time for the video to end. It's been an hour. Have a fantastic day. That was just parts of my life, video life. I've had a fantastic day. The weather is beautiful. The trees are beautiful. All this whole city is beautiful. I love it. I've been eating at different places that are good, mostly Italian, mostly burger places, Italian places. Oh my God, lasagna for the place I've been going to die for. I love it. That's just something that brings me joy. I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the work. I like the work where I'm working right now. It doesn't pay much, whatever, but I like the work. It's not like I'm hating my life. Maybe in a year from now, I'll hate working at Walmart. I don't know. But that's it. Have a fantastic day. I always end that as have a wadatastic day. Fantastic day. I will see you on Thursday for another video. I will make a Thursday video. I don't know what it is about, but have a fantastic day. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. I shall see you on Thursday and then on Tuesday for another weekly update. What is something I like to always end a video with a question? Some video in whatever part of the video. That's the Easter egg as a question. My question to you is specifically for guys, because I know girls don't apply to this, but if you were in that situation, if someone attacked you on the streets, fist only, no knife, no guns, that's a completely different scenario. Someone starts a fight with you, would you fight them? Or my question is, if they said, if I would fight you, what would you do? And so what would you say would your answer would be? Some stranger came up to you and says, "I'm going to fight you." And they were serious on it. What would you do? What would you say back? Not that you would start a fight back, what would you say? Would you say, "I'll fight you back"? Would you say, "I call the police"? What would you say? I'm just curious. Just let me know in the comments or whatever. That's it for the subscribers. I got 40 subscribers. We're 10 away from 50 subscribers. Let's go. Let's go. We can do it. Maybe by the end of the year, I'll have 100 subscribers. That's the goal. 100 subscribers by end of the year. I'll see you for Tuesday or Thursday and then Tuesday. Have a fantastic day. I've put the question at the end of the video, which is kind of weird. But that's it. I'll see you on Thursday. Let's go. Goodbye. I always do the wave. Goodbye with my hand. Goodbye. But that's it.